Hey, Nike here, bringing you the video for our Thief build guide for raiding. After the January 26 patch, Thief DPS has been buffed significantly, and while I do not think it is much better than an Elementalist in the DPS department, it's definitely way better than it used to be, and I do believe you are no longer gimping your group by bringing a Thief along. Our Thief raid build guide is first and foremost a Berserker direct damage build focused on maximizing your personal DPS. While we are aware that the Venom Share Condi Thief is viable, we believe that most players will achieve the best results for their raid team with a direct damage build. One interesting aspect of the Thief is that you can achieve nearly optimal results with just the core Thief traits, ignoring Daredevil, as I will discuss later. This is one of the few professions in the game that can make that claim. Alright guys, so let's talk gear. For gear, I recommend Berserker's weapons, armor, and trinkets. For our rune set, we're going to use the Superior Rune of the Scholar in order to maximize our DPS. Alright, for weapons on staff, I recommend bringing Superior Sigil of Air and Superior Sigil of Force. As an aside, if you're using the Dagger variant, as I'll discuss later, I would recommend using the same sigils on your daggers. Alright guys, so for traits, we're going to take Deadly Arts, Critical Strikes, and Daredevil. In Deadly Arts, we're going to take Mug, Revealed Training, and Executioner. Our main targets here are Exposed Weakness and Executioner. The rest of the trait line is in general pretty tertiary, Mug being a slight DPS increase, but nothing major. Revealed Training will rarely be ever valuable in a staff-based build. However, there is a good trick at Gorseval. As you're entering the arena, you will get the debuff, the Revealed debuff, and it lasts for until you glide again. So if you're doing a no-glide Gorseval, or you're just looking to get some really good Phase 1 DPS before you glide, you will get Revealed there, and it will work for you. Also, as you re-enter the arena from any other glide, make sure you always stealth glide right before you land to give you a few seconds at least of the debuff. Now in Critical Strikes, we're going to select Flawless Strike, Practice Tolerance, and No Quarter. These are all straight, pretty nice DPS upgrades. I select Flawless Strike on the assumption that you'll have a Druid with Spotter in your subgroup. If you don't have Spotter, I would recommend swapping Flawless Strike out for Side Strike instead. As I'll discuss later, we're not using food that grants bonus stats, so we have to alternate these two traits in order to hit the optimal number of crit chance depending on our group composition. Lastly, in Daredevil, we take Havoc Master, Staff Master, and Bounding Dodger. These traits will all synergize to give us maximum DPS while wielding a staff. If we're using the Dagger variant, instead of Daredevil, you're going to take Trickery. Additionally, you want to change Mug for Dagger Training. With Perma Quickness that you usually achieve in raids, Dagger Training becomes a little bit better than Mug while wielding daggers. In Trickery, we're going to take Flanking Strikes for a little bit of extra quickness, Trickster to help make Flanking Strikes a little bit better, and Quick Pockets to gain initiative on weapon swapping while in combat. Now, if you're in a group that is giving you Perma Quickness, you don't really need Trickster or Flanking Strikes. You can go Thrill of the Crime and Bountiful Theft. That'll give your team a little bit more support with Vigor and a little bit more boons that they may or may not need. Either way, you should be good. There's an additional Dagger variant, the Auto Attack Only variant, and if you're using the Auto Attack Only variant, you don't even need Quick Pockets. You can just take Sleight of Hand for the extra CC. But in general, I like the Quick Pockets there because I don't want to just Auto Attack. If ever a situation happened where Auto Attacking was the way to go, I would probably just choose not to run Thief. But I know that some people may enjoy the Auto Attack variant, which I will discuss. And in that case, you're going to want Sleight of Hand, Bountiful Theft, and Thrill of the Crime instead. Let's talk Consumables next. Alright, so for Consumables, the optimal food choice are bowls of seaweed salad, and in the nourishment category, Toxic Sharpening Stones. Again, while these consumables are not at all cheap, they are incredibly powerful. I normally recommend a cheaper alternative in my guides for players who cannot afford the best in-slot food. However, this is a raid guide, and I operate on the assumption that people are not slackers and will bring the best food they can in order to not be the weak link in their team. However, you are in luck that there is a more cost-effective alternative to seaweed salad called experimental remnants. There is a vendor in Curse Shore that will sell you experimental remnants for a few copper, and they have the exact same effect as seaweed salad. The difference is that the experimental remnants only last 10 minutes, so you're probably going to have to refresh them before each boss pull. Can get annoying, but it's so much cheaper that I would probably recommend experimental remnants as the main food for players out there wanting to play Thief, just because it's insanely cheaper. Cheaper alternative to toxic sharpening stones is just whatever the best sharpening stone you can afford at the moment. Additionally, if you're in a group that does not have a druid and you're not getting the spotter buff, even with Flawless Strike, you might only be, I think it comes out to be something like 97% crit chance. Truffle Steak, if you have a bunch lying around on one of your other characters, can get you to 100. It's not a bad food. It will help out. It's definitely not nearly as good in most of the time as Sweet and Spicy Butternut, or especially not as good as Seaweed Salad. But in a pinch, it works, and a lot of people have plenty of them lying around since it's part of every other character they use. So that's it for consumables, guys. Yet again, Seaweed Salad, Toxic Sharpening Stones, best in slot, big damage. Alright, so for our slot skills, our heal is always going to be Signet of Malice. It's just really good, especially when you have quickness. When using the Staff Daredevil build, Fist Flurry is insane. It is one of the highest damage per second skills in the entire game. The next two, Assassin Signet and Signet of Agility, need no explanation. They are just huge DPS increases for your team. And for the Elite, we're going to take Impact Strike. It's a good CC and deals damage at the same time. If we are using the Dagger variant, I would suggest swapping out Fist Flurry for Infiltrator Signet. If we're using, even then, you won't even need that. If you're using the Auto Attack variant, you can just basically pick anything else. There's not really too many good things. Haste is probably your best bet, although if you already have Perma Quickness, even that's not so good. And your Elite should, of course, be Bazzy Venom if you are running the Trickery build. So that's it for slot skills. Next, I'm going to go over DPS rotations and go into that just a little bit. Alright, DPS rotations. So the DPS rotations I am going to recommend assume 100% quickness uptime. I know not every raid group has 100% quickness uptime. I know even organized raid groups don't always have 100% quickness uptime. And the optimal rotations do change somewhat if you do not have permanent access to quickness. However, what's optimal changes based on whether it's 80% quickness uptime, 50% quickness uptime, 100%. It's not a big deal either way. It's not going to suddenly make one build significantly better than another. It's not going to make one build complete trash. So it's just easier for me to recommend what you should do at 100% quickness uptime. For the staff, the optimal outcome is produced by using Fist Flurry on cooldown, along with auto-attacking with the staff while flanking. You need to dodge enough to ensure that your endurance bar is never full in order to take advantage of the 10% DPS modifier from Staff Master, as well as occasionally getting the buff from Bounding Dodger. That said, especially with quickness, dodging too much can be a DPS loss. You do not want to dodge unnecessarily just for Bounding Dodger. Dodging right before your endurance bar is about to fill will give you the best results. And I will give you an example of that right now. Alright guys, for daggers, the optimal rotation is Cloak and Dagger, Backstab, and then continue autoing until your initiative is full, and then repeat. You want to take advantage of quick pockets after you Backstab to quickly refill your initiative so you can Cloak and Dagger again as soon as the revealed debuff expires. When your weapon swap is available, or unavailable, you can use your Steel to gain a few initiative back as well. This will help keep your initiative high for your lead strike's DPS boost, which is your big damage bonus and the main selling point of getting to use the Trickery build. Alright guys, so that's it for DPS rotations. Pretty straightforward stuff. I wanted to mention that with perma-quickness, simply auto-attacking with the Dagger while getting the full 15% boost from lead strikes is almost as good as the Backstab rotation I just showed. Now, we're talking about a 2 to 3% damage loss in perfect situations for using the Dagger-only auto-attack. However, I think 2 to 3% is well within the range of human error, and there's a very good chance in a chaotic raid fight that you're not going to execute the Cloak and Dagger Backstab rotation perfectly. So I would say 99.9% of the time, if you're using the Dagger build, the best thing you can do is auto-attack with daggers. It's not glamorous, and it's not anything to be excited about, but it is the state we are currently in. So the question you guys are all asking now probably is, so which build's better, Staff or the Dagger build? The answer is the Staff build is quite a bit better. It's probably about 5 to 10% better overall, and isn't really any more demanding than auto-attacking with Staff and pressing 8 on cooldown. It's not like a much harder build to do. Sure, Dagger auto-attacking is about the easiest thing in the universe, but the Staff isn't exactly Condi NG by comparison. So I highly recommend Staff. That said, the Dagger auto-attack build is still a very high DPS build, and if you're in a situation where you literally just hate Daredevil, hate Bounding Dodge, and hate the aesthetic of the Staff, by all means, the Dagger build is pretty good, and you'll get good results from it. But if you do want to do the absolute highest DPS possible on Thief, you're going to do it with a Staff. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed my Thief build guide for raids, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away in the comments, and I will do my absolute best to answer them for you. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.